Merhaba sevgili arkadaşlar. Bu haftaki dersimizin konularını DBS'den belirttim. Language, Epic and Tragedy ve bir de Homer konusunu bu hafta işleyeceğiz. Diğer taraftan derslere hep hazırlıklı olmanızı her hafta söylüyorum. Evet, Language ile başlayalım bugünlük. Language. The language of tragedy is not ordinary, it is ornamented and elevated. So there are 2 points that we must also mention in this new topic. One of them is ornamented, the other one is elevated. As tragedy deals with serious and noble action, it employs an elevated language. So the language is so elaborate. The language should be consistent. This is another point that you must also keep in your mind. It must have consistent. The ornamentation should be in all parts, not only in one part. So those ornamentation, as we mentioned before, it will be or it will cover the all parts of the play, for example, not only in one part. The language should have melody, kulağa bir hoş gelecek yani, rhythm or meter, and song. So forget about what is written below in your PDF photocopies. So language, as we said before, the language of tragedy, it is not ordinary, first of all. It must be ornamented and elevated as well. And also, language should be so consistent. And those ornamentations should cover the whole part of tragedy or the play. For the last part of our second photocopy, it is epic and tragedy. There are similarities between the two genres. That is, the beginning of tragedy existed in epic tradition. So the beginning of the tragedy can be seen in epic tradition. We covered also what epic is. Aristotle finds parallels. Pay attention for him. Both are imitation of serious subjects in a grand kind of verse. So whatever we find in epic tradition, there can be other points. Epic and tragedy can be found in verse as well. The hero of the heroic poems have a tragic motive. Pay attention and underline death and doom. As we always said before that, death and doom are always and always must be seen at the tragedy plays. So these are the second part of our papers. Now I come to the last part of our photocopy, and you should also be ready for reading all those papers as well. We first start with classical literature topic, and we start with introduction as well. There are some points in this paper that you should keep in your mind as well, as you did in your previous photocopies. Woven into the graceful folds of Greek literature are the classic concepts. Pay attention and underline motives and markings which Western civilization has adopted as its own. As I told you before that, Western civilization started with the old Greek civilization, literature especially. So in this sense, Greek literature, with its classical concepts, motives, and giving some ideas, markings, uh, made the Western civilization, mostly in Europe, and it has adopted Western civilization, not only Western civilization, the whole world also adopted that old Greek literature. The Greeks knew a joy and facility with language. Again, language is so important in this sense because it gave the meaning both in the written articles or papers or in oral literature. So language is so important in this sense. And admiration, it also admired for clean lines and spare sentences. Those are the another points that you should keep in your mind. So Greek people admired whatever was written, especially in epic poems, for example. Clean lines, açık apaçık mısralar, spare sentences, birbirinden ayrı olabilecek tarzda cümleler. Their worship of the poet's gift approached religious fervor. To the ancient Athenian, pay attention, some people say Athena people. It is completely wrong. Athenian. To the ancient Athenian, isim hali yani Athenian, attendance at a drama festival was more than entertainment. Of course, the Greek people at that time enjoyed what they watched. But also, more than entertainment, they learned. As we said before, that those people at that time were a bit illiterate people. There were a few educated people. So, besides giving entertainment to the Greek people, they also enjoyed and they also learned. It was a purging of the soul. So this is another important thing, that Athenians, first of all, mostly, because all those Greek literature and many philosophers, poets came from Athens. So from Athens, the Greek literature spread out the whole country, the whole Greece in a way. So whatever the audience saw, they were purged. They purged their soul. Temizliyorlar ruhlarını. Sakinleşiyorlar, rahatlıyorlar, hoşlarına gidiyor. A union with goodness and truth. So, purging of the soul came from the union with goodness and truth. Likewise, to read Homer was to experience the best in human thought and behavior. Just remember in our previous lessons, when we were having face-to-face, I told you that Homer was the first poet that gave us what happened during his time. So, to read Homer for the Athenians or for the Greek people was to experience the best. What? In what? Human thought and behavior. Just underline. No other era has produced so notable an array of genius, the bold epics of Homer. So before Homer, we cannot find any poets that gave some information, knowledge about their time. Sappho's diaphanous images, Aristophanes' mirthful satires, these are the characters lived at that time, you can see mirthful satires. Satires started in a way, and the poignant, gripping dramas of Sophocles, Euripides, and Aeschylus. Those three are the philosophers at that time that also affected Western civilization again. To these must be added the all-encompassing philosophies of Plato and Aristotle. So we come across again another philosophers of that time, Plato and Aristotle. The keen histories and self-criticism of Herodotus, Herodot diye biz geçiyor bizde Türkçemizde, tarih yazarı, and he is an historian, and Theodotus, sorry, as well as Aesop's droll beast fables. So at that time, Aesop also wrote some fables. Despite the passage of centuries, before coming to this sentence, so you can just easily see that in the field of Greek literature, there were many things that done, both for the philosophers, both for the dramatists, both for the fable writers, both for the historians. So Greek people with those characters started to get educated. Despite the passage of centuries, Greek literature retains its freshness and relevance. Pay attention. Its ability to pierce to the heart of human situations in matters of love or war, government or social behavior. So, Greek literature took its freshness and its relevance within the heart of human situations. All those things, Greek literature helped, served for the human situations. Just pay attention. In what matters? In matters of love or war, government or governing or social behavior. On most subjects, the Greeks said it first and said it well. Our lives bear little likeness to Atticus' Mediterranean existence, where tiny city-states, in that time, tiny city-states experimented with systems of government. So, governing system in a way started in those tiny city-states. İdare, yönetim başlıyor. And struggled to keep out a succession of aggressors. Of course, at that time there were many wars. Why then does Greek thought permeate our every endeavor, from art with the different types of subjects, from art, architecture, dance and drama, to philosophy, politics, science, and religion? So, in this sense, why did Greek thought made us or give us such things? What's the importance of art, for example, architecture, dance, philosophy, politics? Are they useful? Why do they give us? And why are those subjects still continuing in our present time as well? And the answer is in the other sentence, primarily, pay attention, because we often feel that we must escape 20th century complexity and self-doubt and reconnect our ties with the simple humanistic truths. Pay attention to that sentence. Simple humanistic truths. which formed the warp and woof of ancient folk.